couple of days. So that was interesting, because that is not, getting bumped by a sand shark or even a bull shark. So that was unsettlingly interesting even for me, and that had nothing to do with the shark rescue hat, which I had purchased a couple of days ago, other than perhaps there's like energetic transference and dynamics in the world. So that was all fun and interesting. So how are you on this wonderful and quite frankly, I think it's Why Wednesday, as days are blending together, as we've been starting at 4 a.m. Pacific time, and I am feeling you, my friends, brothers, and sisters from the West Coast. I now know what it looks like for you on each of these fun and amazing mornings. So thank you for your consistency, your love, your impact, and it makes me consider, do we need to do something different dynamically for our West Coast friends and run a later huddle, perhaps at some point in the morning and some other facilitated way. Because it ain't easy getting up at 4 a.m. starting the day and certainly hitting the huddle at 5:30. So interesting to experiencing it on the left coast. So Fernando, how are things back on the East Coast for you, and what is happening, brother?
What is happening on the East Coast? It is I was going to say in my head business as usual, but nothing about what's happening right now is usual at all. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Acceleration is present. Adam Gugino is like batting records left and right. I now know what it feels like to be on camera for 9 hours straight, as we've had beautiful complimentary sessions with fine folks all over the world. And Sean, it is impressive. It's one thing to be on the phone and like talk to people, and I can like close my eyes, like lay on the floor, I can do things. But man, when you're on camera, straight, and you got to show up, it's a different thing. So what's present for me is people, human dynamics, the complexities of leadership between movements. So there's a lot on my mind, there's a lot on my heart, and I would just want to anchor on momentum. Everything you said, everything, non-exaggeration, is happening. Everything. And things that you like kind of didn't say, but 5D listening, you kind of said, all that is present and alive. The energy is fun. Leadership is present and among us. And I couldn't be any more grateful for everyone listening to this call. Catherine, if you're on here driving with your husband, I have so much love for you, what you're doing in the world. To have Leland, Sean. Leland was the first gentleman to buy a ticket for the event in January 10, 11, and 12, before it was Unblinded, all the way from Canada. He's back on here with his lovely girlfriend, Devin, and to just feel and see the continuous like love and growth within the movement. It's magical.
Yeah, it truly is. And we just came off a phone call with, and let's just talk about it, because I think we haven't dropped in this way in quite a while. And let's remind ourselves of what the formula is and what Unblinded is. And then we're going to make an awesome introduction real quick. So what is Unblinded? Unblinded is whatever you want to use it to be, like a tool. It is that, but it's also what we want it to be. And what we want it to be is a space of influencers influencing influencers to merge ecosystems, to create 1 + 1 = 1 trillion relationships to make the world an even greater place. And that's our version of what that means. So you can leverage it as a tool in any way you want to, but that's our version of what that means. And here's what that means to me. We want to work with people who are about positive vibration and acceleration. We are not going to be limited by special interests. And when you create something in the beginning, there's people, because language is imperfect, who hear things and say, impact. Oh, impact means you're going to help my cause this way. It definitely does not mean we're going to help your cause that way. It means you can leverage this platform to help your cause that way. But the expectation is that you're going to use the platform, all the incredible things we've created, to create impact and acceleration. So for example, if you have a cause, and we just had a meeting this morning with an unbelievable impact business that's going to be coming on the next couple of days, announcing our ecosystem merger, that I am incredibly grateful for. And these are brilliant and amazing people who are not at all confused about what's happening here. And they've been here since the beginning as well. And we're about to take our relationship to an entirely new level. And they are blown away by what's happening here at Unblinded. And I'll explain why. So it's not hyperbolic, it's factual, and we'll go through it. And I'm going to use this as a demonstration of what is one way you can think about leveraging Unblinded. Because I think a lot of folks in the beginning of something are most concerned, like they view something like Unblinded as a bus, and they want their seat on the bus. And what we're here to say is there's no bus, but there's not a bus. And the bus is a fleet of buses. And the most important bus to worry about is not like the corporate bus of Unblinded. It's your bus. It's your bus in the fleet. And your job, your mission, your outcome, your opportunity, if you want to create the most impact possible, is to create a bus driving forward your cause. And if you don't have a bus and there's not impactful and influential people following, it's because the formula is applying to you and people are saying no to you. They're not saying yes to you. And there's a reason. There's a reason that problems that have existed for a day, a minute, a week, a month, decades don't get solved. And it's because the solution hasn't been actualized yet through the formula. Like the solution hasn't been actualized yet since the formula. So let's use this as an example and compare where you were in January, right, to like this, and to create acceleration. So here's where we were in January. We're at an excited place, but a place of probably differing perspectives on what Unblinded actually was, unbeknownst to me. So when this started, where it was the acceleration, and think about this in terms of your business. Like keep analogizing this back to your business and where you are. For some people, it was like a motivational speaking thing. People were like, I love Sean. For some people, it was like, what is this thing? For some people, it was, I want to grow my business and network. I'm going to come to this event because there's going to be a lot of people. For some people, it was a charitable cause was going to be supported in some way, right? It was many, many different things to many different people. For vendors, it was a place to sell their stuff and meet people and grow and impact, right? So lots of different things happening. And what I knew was happening was what is happening now. That's why I did this. And it was creating an ever-expanding ecosystem, not about one speaker, but about Mr. Orange, Frank Clark, but about Michelle in California, about Fit to Exit, Michael Smike and Fred Pinto, about Rob Gill and Epic. It was about the American Foundation for the Blind, which I will respectfully and lovingly lean into. And I've made a pledge for the second consecutive year to give $100,000 to the American Foundation for the Blind, but I think that's only the beginning of the impact that I'm going to have. It was about expanding that message to people to learn and hear about it, and hopefully galvanize love and caring around that message and impact for people. It's about having Jason Sipple. It's about Susan Hum. It's about Shu Ling. It's about David Gonzalez. It's about Bella. It's about Diana. It's about Patricia. It's about people, Joe Hagan, so many others, D Rush and Unleash the Rush. It's about like, wait, doesn't David Rush do what you do? Well, we both are about influence and impact. Well, but why would he want to be on why would you want to have him on? Why would he want to be on? Yeah, because it's about influencers influencing influencers to merge ecosystems for 1 + 1 = 1 trillion to make the world an even greater place. It's about Elle Anderson and launching forward to bring her genius to the world, her impact to the world. Well, how's there space for everybody to be on that one bus? How's there space for everybody like on stage, on that stage? Like who gets how much stage time? And the answer is you're not listening, if that's what you think. But if you're smiling, you get it. You know what it is. It's about buses. Remember? It's about someday me sitting in the last row of the upper deck in a stadium of 80,000 people, watching somebody on that stage and knowing there's thousands and thousands of people across the world on that very same day presenting, delivering the formula in their vertical, in their geography, in their space, in their way, with their own identity, right? Being out there. And it wouldn't hurt me at all if nobody even remembers my name. And then we would have truly won because the impact would be that enormous, right? That's what it looks like. And what it looks like very practically, how we got there, is there was a pandemic. There's a pandemic. And during that pandemic, I said, we've got to figure out a way when other people are saying, well, let's go sell PPP loans. And that is a moment, one of the 10 moments I will never forget in my life, when I had to fight for this vision and dream, when I had to fight for influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. Because the other issue was, hey, let's just generate money and sell stuff. And I didn't want to just generate money and sell stuff. And that was not my interest. And there's no disparagement in that dynamic, but that was what was at stake. And I didn't want to sell $9 a month programs to, lots of people through Facebook marketing or other means that would have no impact. I wanted to have things like Long Beach Island. And so while Real Raw was created and dynamically advancing and innovating every single day and week, there was innovation. It brought forward incredible new relationships. And because remember, what this was never about was, oh, I'm here, this is my seat. No, because if my seat could eventually be the last row in the upper deck, and the company's not even about me, but I'll be the face of it for now until other faces are emerging like they are currently right now. And those faces are people who can influence influencers and have massive impact. That's exactly what's been happening. Exactly. And I say this in love and respect. If you don't like the fact that somebody is in a different place than you are, and you were here before them, you might want to call them up and go, how'd you do that? How are you running a Real Raw and having so many people? How are you advancing the way you're advancing? And maybe get some feedback from them. And one of the great things that I've seen in so many dynamics and organizational structures I've been in is what leadership is the positive acceleration, like the positive acceleration of growth and the rooting for others versus the insular dynamic of trying to control and limit people and others for one's own positioning. That's anti-hero. In fact, the anti-hero characteristics are negativity, backbiting, gossip, quitting, not following through, not following the program and content, not accelerating, not leading others, right? Those are the anti-hero characteristics. And anti-hero characteristics include confusion and fake confusion. And any of those things that are present for you will not be drawing and attracting people to you, except the people that will never bring you to where you want to go. You will attract people. You'll attract the same kind of people. And those are not leaders. And those are not people of influence. So as you think about this, because there was a stage in Unblinded in the beginning of Real Raw and the accelerator, the 10 by 10, of people like, I don't understand, like, what is this and what's happening? And I think it was more fear. It was more control dynamics that were present for some. And if you look, the vast majority of people who were championing the most confusion are people who are not accelerating. And you're not confused. You understand that there's a formula. You understand how to use the formula and to create impact with the formula. And for the causes and the outcomes that you seek and desire, you have a blank canvas to create anything that you want. And the people who understand that are wildly accelerating. Had a beautiful conversation with Scott Tennant yesterday. Craig B, who's here and working and learning and coming to LBI just for a short period, because of the holiday. Just all of these amazing folks are seeing it and getting it, and they're looking into the magic and the outcome and the results and the acceleration. The Bob Perrys of the world, who Bob was in the program originally, and He came back a month ago. He's like, I don't know if I'm contributing. I've lost, the speed, the pace of this. Like, where is all this? And a month later, he's putting ecosystem mergers together in a month. And they're powerful and they're meaningful and they're accelerating. And so all that is happening. And the reason it's happening at such an accelerated rate is because of the real raw. It's because of the formula, but deployed through the real raw. And what is the real raw and the real raw opens? Well, they're nothing short of a speaking platform. They're an ecosystem merging filtration device and accelerant, an ecosystem merger accelerant and filtration device. And thank you, Karen, for your acceleration and stepping in. And for each and every one of you, I would ask you that are not running a real raw, why? It's okay. If you don't want acceleration, that's the right way to go. But if you do, then why wouldn't you be? And the second question I would ask is, who are you now, like Craig from SoCal, bring on? Craig from SoCal want to create acceleration in his business. And all of a sudden there's lawyers appearing. Like lawyers. He wasn't talking to lawyers before. And one of those lawyers is a partner in one of the top 100 law firms on the planet. That would have been a very difficult person for Craig to initially connect with if there wasn't something external to talk about. Which on all of the 10 by 10, the 6 episodes of the Unblinded Business Accelerator, we talked about continuously and repeatedly. And for those that are not engaged, go back and watch those and rewatch those and think about it. I think we condense it down to just like the final episode of it, so it contains everything to get what we're talking about. And I want Adam Gagino to come live and explain what happens post Real Raw for the impact. And we've been merging ecosystems, generating beautiful sales meetings and client relationships. It's ecosystem merging, speaking, sales, meeting, sales. And we're up to a place now where we're having about 8 sales meetings a day, a ton of ecosystem merger meetings per day. And that sales meetings per day will be up to 16, I'm very confident, by December, if not by November. And 16 a day means over 300 a month. And that is not bad for a company that had no live events prior to Long Beach Island and had been hit in the middle of a pandemic. And that number will continue to grow. So in terms of the formula working and our demonstrating how it works, one need only look at Unblinded to see what it looks like. And all those same opportunities are there for you. And they're also there in the partnerships we're about to create in the business of Unblinded, which we'll be talking about more on tomorrow night's mastery call, and more as we talk about on October 23, 24, 25. So where we came off of this morning, I just had the privilege of being interviewed in Entrepreneur Magazine, and that was because of ecosystem merging and relationship creation. They're doing a series there that I'm very privileged and honored to be a part of. And it's just the beginning of the beginning. And that's available for all of us to co-create. We're talking about partnering with a podcast agency as an ecosystem merger. It's in its final stages of discussion. They're chomping at the bit. So everybody here would have the ability to go on podcasts where we merge the ecosystems with an impact business. I said this morning, we'll be announcing what that looks like and the charitable impacts of it. But as Unblinded grows, so does your outcome and cause if you know how to relate to Unblinded. If you understand how to merge ecosystems with Unblinded, that's what this entire thing is about. And I wake up every morning to the thought of how do we have the largest impact and how do we add the most massive value to all, right? And I know that's complex for some people to think about, but if we could disconnect from the thinking that I, Sean Callaghy, am Unblinded, Fernando is Unblinded, Adam is Unblinded, we are not, right? Unblinded is a formula and Unblinded is an ecosystem. And that ecosystem, there's plenty of ways to interact with it. So you thrive and flourish. In that same ecosystem, you could walk out into the desert and just be standing in an empty world of sand and no water and no food. So how you relate to it is how we've explained and talked about how you merge ecosystems, how you're in the formula, how you engage in self-mastery. And I want to disconnect from the dynamic of, hey, talk to Sean. Like, hey, talk to Sean is not how Unblinded becomes the global impact that we intend it to be. And I was on the Unblinded Huddle this morning, and we've added more employees, we've added more team members, and we are reinvesting in this company continuously. And one of those team members is Lorelei Moriano. Lorelei, you out there?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, so Lorelei has come aboard as the interim, and we're saying interim now because not because we doubt Lorelei, because we want to make sure that everything like is fully aligned, but I'm sure it is. The interim Real Raw coordinator. So Gina is the Real Raw Open coordinator. Lorelei is the Real Raw coordinator. And Lorelei, I want to thank you because I remember the day we met. The day we met, I was sitting in Rob Gill's office, and we had a phone call together. And I understood that you had a mastermind, that you were very impactful in the world. You had been on a television show, you had a jewelry line, and you were out there as a person that was very well known in the Tony Robbins ecosystem. So when I talked to you, it was really fun, and I was thankful. And you said, hey, come on my mastermind. And I did. And I will never forget that. And what's happened since is you've believed in the formula. You flew to New Jersey, and you were present, and you have been a tremendous leader in this space in an unbelievably positive way. So Lorelei, thank you. And if I ask, how are you feeling today, and why have you decided to go on this journey?
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. And yes, the other little fun fact was when we went to brunch with Joseph McClendon, and that was a really magical.
Yeah, let me say that. So Lorelei is like, hey, I'm going to set up breakfast with you and Joseph McClendon. And I have a lot of people promise that they'll do things and tell me they're going to do things that don't happen. It's all good. And I was like, okay, and whatever. And I wasn't quite sure that was going to occur. And that was the very same day I was invited to a family office event by Mike Crouppen and Deborah Gaylord. And I was going to be going there and seeing Tony Robbins in an event with like 150 people. His son Josh was going to be there. And so that morning you're saying, hey, come to breakfast with Joseph. And they were quite far apart. And so Lorelei ended up making that happen. I couldn't believe it. I walked in, and Joseph McClendon was sitting there, and Lorelei. And this is an amazing view at the Ritz-Carlton overlooking the ocean out here on the beautiful California coast. And then I had to like go all the way back to, I think it was in Beverly Hills I think we were in Newport Beach. Lorelei can remind me where we were, that Ritz-Carlton was.
We were in Laguna Niguel.
Laguna Niguel, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I had to get back for it. And I ended up being late. And, people were flipping out that I was late. I was like torn between two things. So yeah, so thank you, Lorelei. And that was incredible, that meeting with Joseph, and that created a beautiful relationship there. Mm-hmm. And so back to you.
Yeah, so very excited to be continuing on officially, formally. And one thing that I am present to is some really interesting new dynamics coming into the Real Raw role play, which is incorporating some celebrities and A-listers in sports, and then having themes. So one thing that I'm very excited about is just the ecosystem mergers that I'm creating, such as getting a close relationship with the VP of Universal Studios. She was a former VP at MGM. So being in this role is exciting because it really pushes me to, find these really incredible people to be on the show, and everyone that has been on, they just cannot believe how incredible their experience has been. So that makes me really excited.
Yeah. And I'm excited and grateful too, because a lot of people, we say a lot of things that are very energized and excitable. Mm-hmm. But let's talk numbers. We've created a multi-million-dollar business in the middle of a pandemic, in months, right? We've done 230 Real Raw episodes when some people on the team were saying that this was a bad idea and nothing would ever happen because of it, and wanted to send out group emails to network marketing companies to do trainings in network marketing companies. And to think that we now have Harvard-trained doctors We have the most famous of the famous motivational speakers in the world. We have successful attorneys, accountants, entrepreneurs. We have people with top radio shows in Dallas. I mean, the conversation is endless. We have people coming on that were part of Wolf of Wall Street with Jordan Belfort that was on yesterday, and Lorelei, that was amazing for the diversity and the complexity of people and causes that are appearing every day in entrepreneurship, in impact in the world. And this is exactly what we said it would be. And in fact, it's ahead of schedule. For me, we are ahead of schedule. And I cannot be more grateful for all the names I've mentioned here and everybody that's participated in this entire ecosystem, even in the most limited of ways. For anybody that's ever been on a huddle, the fact that we're here already, and here's the most shocking part, we have yet to leverage anything digitally online in any meaningful way. And that is an area of mastery we are focused on closing down right now. And we have amazing teammates and conversations that are alive and well. And I want to acknowledge Tom Filatico, who's been my friend since we're 11 years old. And Tom was with me in law firm number one, helping me build it. And he then went on to be director of compliance for Novartis for the Americas, essentially 65,000 people under his purview and his world. And Tom has stepped in on an interim level as we're sort of recalibrating a number of different dynamics. And he's been advancing unlike anybody, right? Because Adam and Fernando are doing what they do so amazingly. And Tom has stepped in and has been the first person to meaningfully advance ecosystem relationships that I've created. It's the first person I've felt able to hand an ecosystem dynamic to and say, Tom, let's advance the ball. And it's being advanced. We're looking at hiring in-house counsel, and I'll be very excited to make that announcement if it comes to fruition shortly. We are looking for our copywriting and digital teammates full-time internally at Unblinded, because that's been a source of pain and frustration for quite a while. And by the way, I was remiss in not mentioning the amazing Peter Swain and all he's been doing in this space, in this ecosystem, continuously from the UK, not sleeping, running his real raws, Person of Impact, 2-time Business Mastery winner. Super thankful for that. Also very, very exciting, grateful for the amazing energy of Eric Balance as he enters the program, and he's on fire like a straight up lunatic. And I have not mentioned 30 names that should be mentioned, but I don't, and I apologize, and please hold space for this. I don't fail to mention, if I don't mention names, I think it's inappropriate. I think that the idea that you don't name any name because then you're going to offend or hurt somebody's feelings. I'm sorry if I did, and I didn't mention your name, and it should have been. I apologize up front. But I also think that it's very meaningful for people's names to be mentioned, albeit imperfectly. And I made that decision a long time ago at Callagy Law and our Christmas and holiday parties. And so I would always forget somebody's name, and somebody would always have their feelings hurt. And people would say, you shouldn't name names because then nobody gets their feelings hurt. I'm like, well, that's crazy and ridiculous, because if you don't name names, then you are just doing a disservice to the entire mission and what we're accelerating. And so also name Lily and Nicole and Teresa. Of course, Mona, and all the support is incredible. And, without all of these incredible people, none of this happens. So yes. So Lorelei, thank you. But why are you doing this? And some people could ask you, and probably have asked you, like, why do you care? Like, why are you doing this? So I will ask you, why do you want to be coordinator of the Real Raw? And why are you here at Unblinded?
Right. I will answer to that, which is because I believe in Unblinded You, the formula. I just think it's an incredible movement. And I want to be, the person that can help, accelerate and bring in exciting people to just expand and bring more to people's lives in terms of business and co-creation and creating ecosystems.
Awesome.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, and Lorelei, when we look at who we want to be, what's an influencer, what's a leader, I want you to know, and everybody know, Lorelei, I see you as an influencer and a leader, growing, expanding. But let me give some criteria. I think a person of integrity is a leader. And I think a person of integrity is not living according to what other people want them to do, but is living according to the principle of doing what is right and next for the mission and the organization. It is a person that does what they say, and you do, right? So that's integrity. Second, a leader has skill. A leader has to have skill, right? So you're not a leader because you show up and watch. You're a leader because you do, and you do it with skill. And Lorelei, your skill and ability to open doors and have people hear you and say yes to coming on the Real Raw has been phenomenal. Your zone action, your ability to do that, and growing, because Lorelei's taken on, a big mission here as we step into this and lean in our expanding dynamic of what Real Raw looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
and it's that people are loyal. And what does loyal mean? Like, loyal mean that people support wrongdoing? No. But loyal means you understand who you're dealing with. You don't create deletion. Loyal means you are not stepping into deletion, dilution, and distortion. So loyal means you're not stepping into deletion, dilution, distortion to create a false narrative that's out of integrity. And Lorelei, your loyalty to people, not me, to people, your ability to not step into deletion, dilution, distortion with the people that you see your future in, that you are ecosystem merged with, has been extraordinary. And for those that don't know, Lorelei has relationships with some incredibly successful people, which she does not publicly talk about, and she's not out there promoting. And in fact, Lorelei, you may be like one of the great ninjas of all time that people don't see coming, don't understand your impact, don't understand your level of influence. And, you show up as pretty understated, pretty quiet in a lot of ways. But the relationship capital you possess is extraordinary. And so thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for your integrity. And thank you for your skill in your leadership.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all those kind words, and I'm very excited to step into this, and I'm finding really great ways to innovate and think outside of the box to create even more magic.
Yeah. And if you think that there's somebody that's a person of influence that would be interesting and fun and is successful in their vertical or successful in the world overall, an author, a speaker, but preferably an attorney of influence and impact, an accountant of influence and impact, a financial service provider of influence and impact, a real estate person of influence and impact, an architect of influence and impact, including Tiffany Armstrong's uncle. Let's talk about architecture, Lorelei, and reconvene that with Tiffany. And by the way, Tiffany Armstrong, Tiffany, I see my future in you. I see the future of Unblinded in you. I see the future of many things in you and your amazing husband, Mike, and all you guys have been doing. Rose, incredible impact, bravery, acceleration, like wildness is happening. Jack Tavares, entrepreneur, brilliant mind, accelerant. Brian Ripple, people of strength, conviction, leadership, making things happen. And Craig from SoCal was joking about LBI having been not like a high school, and like how all the social dynamics were interweaving and fitting together. Stacy, Fredericks, amazing, just ninja of power, success, entrepreneurship, and acceleration in massive and incredible ways. So, and on and on and on. Dr. Vince, thank you, like, for everything you're doing. Jenna, I see my future in what we're talking about in terms of impacting the corporate world as well. And I'm fired up and excited to accelerate that because it's needed. And there's skill sets of diversity and power and ability. And, Kuda and Brian will be on from Unbelievables in a couple of days. Kirk Adams, so I'm excited to cause change to that number of unemployment in my way. And I'll make this quick statement. My way of impacting the blind community is to empower blind people to live in the formula, to be in the formula. And for folks that are championing that mission and cause, I challenge you to assemble real raws where folks that have visual impairments are on with people that are employers in meaningful companies as judges. And the interweaving, intermixing, like what does it look like if we're running 100 real raws a day with visually impaired people mixing with corporate executives and HR leaders, and we're causing the awareness of the formula in the blindness community and causing understanding of skills and impact. That's what's on my heart. And that's where my cause begins and ends there, in addition to money. That's where my cause is in causing that. And when I had the privilege of flying out to Arizona for the first time and speaking, what I was present to, just like I'm present to it in every cause, in every world, including feeding the hungry, including Operation Underground Railroad, including people suffering from chemotherapy and cancer treatment, and was people needing an amazing boost in self-mastery and their influence and process mastery. And so that's what I stand for in impacting the horrific rate of unemployment for blind people. I look at it from the prism of the population of the unemployed, and I leave it to other people to deal with the employer side. That's not my side. So in terms of that mission and cause, that's where I stand and what I want to contribute. And when people want to contribute, by the way, and impact things, what like I'm present to with the Real Raw, I'm present to an expansion Unblinded, is you always want to think when people have an ability and something to give, you want to think about, okay, how can I tap into their skill set, their ability, their desire, their purpose, not how can I try to cause them to do something I want done, something that's important for me. So when we think about all the names I just listed, I don't think about convincing any of those people to do what I want them to do. I think about what all those amazing and incredible people want to do, and how can I align what the mission and the impact of Unblinded with their skill set and their heart's desire. Like, how can we put David Gonzalez together with Unblinded? And we're having those beautiful conversations, and I'm very excited about them, but not to be like, okay, David, you're going to work and do this. Well, first of all, David's not going to do that. And second of all, why would I want to try to make David do that? What I want to do is I want to figure out to take David's incredible influence and ability and skill, his creativity, his flow, and how do we co-create with that? Similarly, I don't want to take Tom Filatico and make him become David Gonzalez. I want to ask myself the question, how do we take Tom's accountability structures, his time punctuality, his ability to go from hello to yes with integrity, his focus, his leadership, how do we cause that to create acceleration? And then, of course, the people at Caligula Law, I mean, Tom McGreca's of the world, Howard Jalutis of the world, mentioned Michael Smikin and Fred Pinto. How do we take that leadership, the assets of the financial team, the human resources team, and how do we create impact there and in proximity and all of this coming together for acceleration? So I share all of that because I think sometimes we lose perspective on where we are. We lose perspective on what's happening, and what is happening has happened is utterly mind-boggling. And Lorelei, you have been an integral component. Dozens, hundreds of people, maybe thousands already, have had meaningful impact to where we are. And you are one of those leading people, Lorelei. And I'm immensely grateful and so excited for where we go from here. Contact Lorelei. You want to create a relationship with somebody incredible for your ecosystem, and you think that they are somebody who satisfies the credentials and criteria of the Real Raw, which we're going to be upgrading and clarifying shortly on what it takes to get on the Real Raw, because that's going to be like TED versus TEDx. It's going to have criteria. It's going to be for people of the most meaningful accomplishments already, not with just vision and ideas, but like most meaningful accomplishment. And so it's going to be the flagship of what we do, which is only going to help the Real Raw Open become that much more valuable as we accelerate. And you are going to help your own brand and identity through the Real Raw accelerate through the roof. So like all of you, right? If you want to take that journey, will be accelerating massively. And when I'm talking to the most brilliant people in entrepreneurship and impact right now, which is happening every single day, they cannot believe where Unblinded is. They cannot believe what this vision is and where it's going to go from here. And they are understanding that is unlike anything that's ever been created before, because it's not about a person. And for now, I'm the face of it. right, in certain ways. But in a month and 2 months, that will continue to be less and less and less and less as different divisions and parts of this continue to expand. And there's all these beautiful fleet of not just buses, but jets and rocket ships and planes and islands and places and ecosystems all over the place. So I know it's been a long one, a couple of long ones, so there's a lot to catch up on. Lorelei, you ready to kick some butt today?
Yes, and I have to add this.
Yeah.
Who gets excited to wake up at 3:45 a.m.? I do, because I just love what I do and being a part of this movement.
Well, thank you, Lorelei.
So,
And I honor you because, man, I'm getting up at 4 a.m. Be on the West Coast right here, and it ain't easy. So you are remarkable. All of you are incredible. And thank you, everybody. And let's have a beautiful Why Wednesday. Be on tomorrow night's mastery call for those in mastery, because a lot's going to be chatted about the future and the model. And we're going to keep expanding that conversation. So thank you, Lorelei. Let's have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll have a lot more fun, energy, and lightness. There was a lot to cover and catch up on today. Welcome, Lorelei. Welcome, Gina. Welcome, Unblinded. The Real Raw and Real Raw Open are accelerating. Unblinded is influencing influencers to merge ecosystems to